telescope. My vision, television, telling lies to my vision. Crazy thing called intuition. Never afraid to jump the rope, never freeze, don't choke. Emotions can be manipulated, so don't be emotional. Take the lesson and hope to grow, speed up the flow. Ramadan fasting, my energy everlasting. My gun pop is blasting, your whole bop she smashing. No wedding, we crashing. I pull up in the Porsche, I'm flashing. Welcome to All That Jazz podcast. I'm your host, Jazz, and today we have a very special guest in the building. She is a trainer, a friend, and truly the epitome of what self-discipline looks like. Welcome, Miss Laraya. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Laraya. I was her personal trainer, so that's how we met in the fitness world. So yeah, we're going to talk about fitness today.
So the first question I have for you is, how long have you been working out, and how did that become a passion of yours?
Wow. Honestly, since I could remember, from what I do remember, I was a kid and I was always playing around with my grandpa in the kitchen doing push-ups, or like I will tell him like I can pick you up, like I'm strong enough. Like that was me. So honestly, I would literally just be in my room doing crunches, and I don't know, since I was little. So I can't really tell you. I want to say since I could remember, but when it became a passion of mine, I would probably say, dang, that one's hard too, because I've been working out forever.
What took it to the level of you saying, you know what, I'm passionate enough about this to where now I want to become an actual personal trainer for others?
I would say probably say a year ago, right before I met you.
Really?
Yeah.
You were that good already?
Stop.
Seriously. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about self-discipline. Okay, I recently learned that motivation and self-discipline work very differently. So, what is your take on that? What is self-discipline to you?
Self-discipline is pretty much priorities. Like, whatever your priorities are, tunnel vision. Like, it's nothing outside of that. Self-discipline is success. Like, I just would say tunnel vision compared to motivation. Things that motivate you could be short term. Self-discipline is just knowing, like, this is what I have to do. It's a sacrifice.
Whether you want to or
Whether
not.
you want to do it or not.
Because that's the difference there with motivation. Motivation is like you want to do it. You're like pumped up, you're motivated. But that doesn't last. Exactly. It's that self-discipline of like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that become a part of your life? And has it always been that way? Have you always been the most disciplined, just in the gym, just in general? How has it impacted your life now? Like, how did it become a part of your life? Or was there ever a time that you weren't disciplined?
There were plenty of times. Too many actually. Because, again, the whole fitness thing has always been a passion. I've always stuck with it, and it's never been, like, fully consistent until like now, in this present moment, because there were so many times where I was inconsistent because I lacked that. So yeah, I don't know, I would say that's recent. Like, that's a recent thing, because you get to a point where you're just like, there's this thing called time, there's this thing called, again, my goals, what I really want. And I think the hardest thing about you working out and becoming fit or becoming healthy or whatever that is for you is the starting over. And when you get sick of starting over, that's when it becomes a thing of like, I am going to do this no matter what.
Right.
It's so hard to start over when you've done it for so long.
So how does staying in shape reflect self-discipline?
Because it's it's like your skin is like everything else. It's like it shows. It just
Right.
shows. That's one thing you can't hide is discipline in that area. Like how consistent you are. It just shows.
It
It's
does. Even with working out for me, I think when I am disciplined with it, it seems like everything else in my life is more disciplined. Like when I start my day doing that, the way I'm eating is more disciplined. Me getting more organized or getting my work done is more disciplined. So I don't know if this is just me, but for some reason I feel like that's like the best thing you could do is like be fit or, you know, be in shape and have the discipline to do that, because I think overall you feel better and then you start to actually do better in other areas of your life. Agree or disagree?
I agree. You were in my head. I was thinking that, and you said it for me. It literally is the best thing you can do for yourself. Like just like investing. The best thing you can do is invest in yourself, and that's a part of your investment. Like that's a fact. Like taking care of yourself, everything else is gonna fall in place.
Yeah. So I do remember back when you were training me, and I remember feeling like it was literally the entire package. It would be from us doing cardio to weight training to cool down to stretching. Dancing, then stretching, then massage, then sauna. It was like, who does this? Is this real?
It is.
So how did you? Let's just hit every area, because I've trained with really good trainers. You know, I just never had an experience like from start to finish where everything was covered. You know, I've never done stretching with a trainer, like a full-on stretch where we're stretching everything. And then laying down for a massage. And I remember people would come to some gym like, I was like, can I get your information? Because it was just like a whole dose. So what made you like incorporate the works in all, or like let's talk about the importance of each of those, like from the cardio to the strength training to the cool down to the dancing to the stretching to the sauna to the massage. Like, let's just break down each.
First of all, she added dancing in there and sauna. Those are her favorites.
I love the sauna and I love dancing.
Yeah, but they were extremely helpful.
They were.
But honestly, I think it just starts off like any other customer service, that you cater to each individual. So that's first and foremost. And then breaking down each one of those, they're all important. Because, for instance, coming in and warming up your muscles, etc., because you are about to stretch them, jump up and down. You're going to use and abuse them while you're in the gym, you know? So you have to prepare for that. It's like a rubber band at the beginning. Before you put it in your hair, you kind of give it that good stretch. So warming up, and then actual strength training, lifting those weights so that you can tone up. You can also get stronger is important. And then adding cardio for cutting and building your endurance is very helpful. Again, David Goggins.
We're definitely going there.
So building that endurance, that stamina is important. Burning fat, whatever that means for you, because you could even be running, sprinting, and building muscle in that way. And then we dance because it just made everything more fun and feel like less of a workout. So I kind of like to do that, honestly, with all my clients if they're up for it, because everyone's, you know, different. And then stretching at the end, because your muscles get tight, they get sore after working on them, after lifting. So you want to relieve some of that soreness, relieve any knots that are in there, the tension that you got from working out. And then in order for those muscles to grow, they have to expand. Those muscles have to expand. So those are important. And then she just so happened to have a sauna at her gym, so we would go in there right after. But that was really good to help just sweat and just open up those pores and just relieve more of whatever toxins were in our body. So we will always end in the sauna, and it was like perfect.
It was. So what happens if someone is working out every day and they're not stretching?
Well, even aside from them working out every day, as human beings, over time we get stiff. Like if there's no movement, you're just stiff. So stretching is more important than anything else that I named outside of that, because that's just all we do over time. And sitting in one spot or standing up all the time, whatever it is that you do in your life, you have to stretch, or your muscles won't be doing anything. Movement is very important. So for someone who works out every day, now you're straining those muscles, you're pulling them again. That rubber band, it's getting tight, you may be getting knots. There's a lot that could be happening. And again, because now you're training or whatever it is that you're doing, you're probably just creating tighter muscles, and you're going to get even more stiffer than what you already are. So it's just very important to stretch.
Yes, I do remember you emphasize that, no matter what, you have to stretch every day. And it really makes a difference. Yeah. Even if it's your day that you don't work out, stretching.
That's it.
And a lot of times too, we don't even realize if we have like small back problems or soreness somewhere. If we were just to stretch like 10 minutes a day, you will start to feel relief in those problematic areas.
Absolutely.
We all heard about the 80-20 rule with diet and exercise. So what do you recommend for those out there that are looking to either lose weight, maintain weight, or gain muscle? What is a simple diet or some things they could include in their diet that you could break down those sections? So let's start with the people that want to lose weight. Stop eating. Oh, just kidding. That's what you were thinking, weren't you?
Cut it out. No, almost pretty much. I have a whole program that goes
we
back
did do
to
that together.
Fruit. Yeah,
we did.
And I'll send you like the latest one that I made. I made something even more like. So yeah.
And that's another thing as a trainer. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're so in tune. And I never forget that I was having a really rough day. Do you remember the red sweats? I had on some red sweats and I felt like a big, I felt huge this day, and my energy was just, and even though, I'm still getting my fit body to show, like I really very much love to be in the gym and I love to work out.
She did.
So she just knew I was off this day, and she's also a counselor. So she stopped me like, sit down. What's going on? We need to talk about this. And I was just, and when I say like she's all in with you, it's like, okay, we're going to do a 48-hour detox. Only, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like smoothies or fruits and salad. Just like we were super just detoxing. And she did it with me. She don't have to do that. But I just wanted to speak to that. But okay, I think you were explaining the diet for weight loss.
For weight loss. So initially, everything is, because again, each individual is different. Everything is based on like your blood type, where your ancestors came from, etc. So I'm going to say that initially. But if you're asking for like a general thing, I'm definitely going to tell you to detox for sure. And detoxing in a sense that maybe it's just an all fruit diet, fruit smoothies and salad, and start thinking lighter. I always tell my clients who are trying to lose weight to think lighter. So with your food, obviously, if I had steak on this table and I was cutting it up, I have to really get in there and cut it in order for me to eat it. So imagine my body trying to break that down. It breaks it down the same way. Or beef, it's heavy, it lasts in our systems like longer than kale or something. And then if I pick up like a piece of tilapia, even though like that's not even a fish, but if I pick that up, it's just gonna fall apart, right? So it's just like thinking of that, and that's kind of how your body breaks that down as well. It's easier to break down. So for someone like me, of course I have my own things that I need to take care of. If I'm trying to gain weight, I'm probably going to be like, I want to do the beef, the steaks, etc. So
that would be someone that's trying to like build muscle. So if you're trying to lose weight, think light. If you're trying to build muscle,
think heavier, think carbs, etc. Eating consistently. So it's pretty much like the reverse. And then someone who's trying to maintain weight can be right there in between. You can have the balance of both. So yeah.
Okay. So speaking of food, well, you know what? You gotta. Oh no, you did. You gave us some. Okay, give us some more. Give us a couple more food items for people who are trying to gain muscles. Like just you said, like
like
steak.
Yeah.
People who are. And then let's say, what about if someone doesn't eat meat and they want to gain muscle? What's
and they want to gain muscle and eat meat. So probably like, what do they eat that's vegan? Like
potatoes,
beans, potatoes, rice,
beans, greens.
They can eat rice, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, rice. Now, do you think it's like they need to be eating brown rice or white rice, or does it really matter? Doesn't really matter.
I don't think it matters.
Okay,
that's
so they can focus on more just starchy.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, let's talk about. Do you ever get tempted for like unhealthy food?
I love food.
Let's talk about your favorite unhealthy. I'll just play.
What's your favorite snack at midnight?
Okay, so you do get tempted, right? Mm-hmm. So if you do slip up, or how do you limit that? Like, how do you limit where you don't go overboard? How do you balance that out where you don't just start like falling off 100%? Like, do you do something where you're like, okay, maybe I'll have a cheat day once a week? Is it like twice a month, once a year? Tell the truth. I'll just say it because I know where you about to say.
Okay, so first and foremost, if I am to say that I'm a trainer, like I'm a leader. So like y'all are my reminders, you know what I mean?
She's really saying she's about that life. And she really is. Because when we were training, I'm like, what did you eat for today? Oh, I just had some cucumbers and a smoothie. Well, go ahead. She's really about that life.
So that part initially. Mm-hmm. And then always making the best decisions. Again, it's that self-discipline of just like, I know these are my goals. I don't want to have to start over. Especially when I would do the detox, it's like whenever I was tempted, it's like, oh my gosh, if you do this, you have to start over, and you can't say I did that. Like, you can't say it because
now you need to go through another detox.
I have a guilty conscience, so it's like it's not going to allow me.
So what would you say to those people out there that are not as disciplined as you have become, and who are looking for someone to kind of advise them on how often they should have a cheat day if they're going hard? And let's say they've been going hardcore and they're like, okay, well, I want a cheat day. Would you say they should take that cheat day like once a week or once a month? Would you say once a quarterly? Would you say once a year? What would you say to that?
I would always tell someone to do their very best. So I'm not going to recommend a cheat day. It's just going to be like...
Yeah, and you know what? That's so crazy now that you say that, because realistically, you shouldn't be planning to cheat.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Right. Just do your best. Of course, we're not perfect, and there's a lot of temptation out here, but you do want to have self-discipline and self-control. So if you continue a habit of, I'm going to stay clean, just like an addiction, the more you feed into that temptation, the more that it happens, the more that it occurs.
Yeah.
So you want to just do your best so that you have the option. It becomes an option that, like, I want to cheat today because I want to cheat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm going to get a cookie today because that cookie don't run me. I run that cookie. cookie.
Right.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you're not letting the cookie control you.
Who that cookie think it is?
Right. So and you know what's so crazy? Like, usually people do start off having that weekly cheat day, and then it turns into every day. Because again, like you're saying, it's really, food can be an addiction. So it's like it's like I can't help myself. Versus how you're saying, if here and there I'm like, I'll have some of this. It's like you making the choice versus the food controlling you and having authority over you. Like, you're taking control of the food and saying, you know what? And ultimately the goal is to not desire to have those type of things.
Exactly. Because what is your best? Your best? Your best is your best.
The best is not processed foods. The best is not sugar. The best is not fried foods, not fried fish and all those horrible foods. All those poisonous foods. So, and we want to really think about doing what you got to do and staying hard. Let's get into the David Goggins mindset. And for those of you who don't know about David Goggins, I was introduced to David Goggins on not in person, but on the internet so she introduced me to him and had me look him up. And when I seen that this is a man who has ran over 100 miles straight, not like taking a break and doing the rest the next day. No, this is like, I think he did it in 17 hours, right? Or something, somewhere around there. Ran 100 miles. And I think it reminded me of this movie called Apocalypto.
Oh, yes.
Did you see that movie? Oh,
yes.
So I love that movie because I'm like, wow, like, look at it's just like his desire and drive or whatever that to get to his family. He was running through there like from sunup to sundown. I just remember thinking like, wow, that probably is humanly possible. And so when I seen David Goggins do that, I totally got kind of obsessed and started watching all of his stuff. And, he makes no excuses. So how do we start altering our minds and shaping our minds to get into that David Goggins mindset? Like, how do we do that?
I think that goes back to like the previous question of doing your best, like your very best at all times. Because life is really simple. We make it complicated. We put the complication on everything, but it's really simple. It really is just do the thing that you want to do. And everybody's timing is different. Everyone's structure is different. Everyone's health is different. But your best is your best. Your best is your best. And my best is my best. And you can't tell me that I'm not the best or doing my best because I'm trying my hardest, right?
Well, can we tell people that they're not doing their best if they're not? Because David Goggins saying, like, if you're not doing what you need to do, you're being a...
No,
like,
what I'm saying is if you are trying
to be nice, because that's not how you are when we in the gym.
No, I'm saying if you're trying your hardest, that is your best.
But
you know what I mean? Like, if you can run faster... If you can run faster than me, I have no control over that. But if I'm running my fastest, that's all that matters. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, so your best is doing your best every single day. And that's how you get that mindset. Not comparing it to anyone else's, but just going your hardest. If everybody just went their hardest, they would be able to succeed in whatever it is that they want to do.
So how do we measure that? And I'm going to give you an example of something that I really... Sometimes people do... They like think that they can't do something, like they think they did their hardest, right? So like I was running, it was very hot with my daughter, and I said we're gonna go around this whole time when we're gonna run, and she didn't think that she could do it that whole entire time, and I was like, yes you can, and so like midway through she was kind of like getting emotional, was like I'm like kind of yelling at her a little crazy. So it's like yelling, and I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, I was like pretending like I was David Goggins. And so she did it. She did something though that she didn't think she could do. So if it would have been her out there by herself, she may not have pushed herself to go past a certain limit. Like, we put these limitations on ourselves. So I think another question that we should, how do we know if we're doing our best? How do we know that we're just not pushing ourselves past that comfort zone?
She knew though. She knew in her mind, but only she knew. Only she knew. Like you couldn't figure out, even if she was running consistently, you can't say like she's not trying her hardest or she is trying her hardest. Only she knows that. You know what I mean? Everybody doesn't have an accountability partner, but everybody needs one for sure, because that is why she was able to go the full time. That's why in the gym it's like,
yeah, I was gonna say, that to me
like
also is what is important to, like, even, you know, especially if you're starting off, that you should try to work with a trainer, because they will push you past your comfort zone. Exactly. Where you're like, oh, I can't do that. No, 5 more minutes. Yeah. I can't do 5. No, let's go. Like, yeah, you can, you know, because I do think, like David Goggins talks about, in our minds, we have those two different voices, right? We have that person like, you deserve that treat. You deserve that cookie. Let that cookie control you. You know, we need that cookie. We've worked so hard. Let's have this. And then there's that other voice that is like, no, you know, and a lot of times we quiet that voice that doesn't, you know, appeal to us, and we go for that voice that's actually keeping us in that addicted state of mind. Absolutely. So how did you come to get into David Goggins, and really, how did he resonate with you? Oh,
that's a good question.
And have you ever ran 100 miles?
Right, because I haven't. And it's not that he resonated with me, he was inspiring. He was the motivation, not the self-discipline, because only I can do that. But he was the motivation. He was the temporary thing that it was installed in my mind. Okay, he's going his hardest. He's been through this. He's been through the trenches. He's, you know, he keeps going, like the apocalypse. Like, it was like that. It was giving that energy, that motivation. So for me, I just started a daily routine of listening to podcasts and going on YouTube and listening to the motivational videos and sending them to my clients. Became a ritual, a daily thing. So he was part of it, because he's somebody who's not to be played with.
You will hear him on. I would also recommend that. I definitely agree that listening to those motivational podcasts, and there's another motivational speaker, Eric Thomas, and we were talking about that on the way here, like listening to a combination of those and other motivational speakers, if you just have that going, even if you play an hour of it a day, me and her were just saying, like, it's literally like you're just listening to affirmations, and that right there will over time change your mindset, because it's starting to get into your subconscious. Right. So you'll start seeing the adjustments. But I definitely think to change your mindset, you really have to be open to push yourself past you're comfortable. You know what I mean? Like,
you do, but that's where I said it's the part that only you know, that, like, you know, you have that extra step in you, but you don't want to go there because it's a mental thing. Like, for me, everything is, I think for all of us, everything is mental. So it's you telling yourself what you can't do, but you know you can do one more push-up, etc. You just don't want to do it, just like you just don't want to not eat the cookie. Like, it's just things. And when you constantly do these things, they become a habit. So if you constantly give up before you're supposed to, it just becomes a habit, and then you start telling yourself that you can't.
And then that goes back to self-discipline. You will never build self-discipline if you don't know how to do something when you just maybe don't feel like it. It's like, okay, or if I want this cookie, have the discipline to not. Like, why, you know, if you set a goal to do something, just do it. And if you don't build up that part of your brain, or that you don't fix your mind to do that, you'll constantly be stuck in that place. You have to, like, get in the mindset where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. And that over time will build that self-discipline I think people are looking for.
Yeah, being around people who you know are doing better than you is important.
Oh my goodness.
And that way you have an accountability partner. That's also important. Having a trainer is so important, because there was plenty of times where I'm like, okay, we're going to do push-ups and I'm going to time it. And then you're like, we've been out here for a long time. And I'm like, oh, it's been over. I just wanted you to see how long you could keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Because you didn't think that you could do it, especially if I'm telling you, okay, do 10 lunges. Well, what if she could do 15? But we're only stopping at 10.
Right.
You
That's
know?
true.
So it's just accountability partner is everything.
Yeah. What are some tips that you can give to people that are watching? Maybe they're beginners, or, you know, kind of beginners, who want to start seeing a change in their body? Like, what are some like straightforward tips that you can give them that they can start today, right now?
We're gonna start up here.
Mm.
We're gonna start, everything again is mental. So whatever it is that you need to do to relieve the stress, the frustration, the anxiety, whatever it is, I would say start with meditation for mental, sitting with self, sitting quietly, journaling, something, so that you can get to self-discipline, because it's all mental. But starting a routine, just having a routine is important. I feel that we could start there. Just a routine. A daily routine changes everything. So if you can wake up daily and just say, I'm going to journal for 5 minutes. I'm going to work out for 5 minutes. I'm going to make a healthy breakfast for 5 minutes. I mean, whatever it is for you. If you need to dance for 5 minutes, something healthy to start your day off, and then doing it consistently. Because even if you were to, I don't know, if you're trying to work out and gain muscle, even if you just did 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day adds up to something. The consistency is the most important part of it. So that's what I would say, just a healthy routine. I wouldn't even go any deeper than that.
Right. Yeah, if you do want to go deeper than that, then you definitely should reach out to Laraya, because she is the bomb.
Okay.
So what are some realistic, like what's a realistic expectation of how long someone should expect to see a significant difference when they do start working out? Because, you know, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this as well, like, I want to see immediate everybody wants to see immediate results,
like,
right?
That's normal.
And honestly, sometimes you do think you can see like a tiny bit. Like, you're like, okay, I see a little something, but when you go to the gym and you've been going for a week and you're like, oh man, I don't see. What's realistic? Like, because you talked about just now consistency.
That we're gonna start there, because if you can't be consistent,
you won't see the results.
Yeah, now your timeline is just all over the place. Who knows when that'll happen? So a day goes a long way, but give yourself a week, and honestly, it just depends upon the person, because again, everyone's different. Everyone lives a different lifestyle. Everyone's routines are different. Like, if you're going to run, you might see results in 3 days,
That's
compared
true.
to somebody who might be lifting and it may take a little longer.
Yeah, that's true. You'll even see their endurance like change within a couple of days.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Exactly.
okay. And then that next time my daughter and I went around that thing, she was doing it easy breezy. Then she was doing it more than once. Then she was like, oh, it's easy now, Mom.
And now you're addicted because you finally got the results that you were waiting for. And that's why consistency is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Laraya Ane, on Facebook at Raya Walker, and Twitter, Laraya Ane.
Okay, how do you spell that?
LARAYAANET.
Okay. So, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. I really appreciate you coming and talking about this. I think fitness is something that's very important. I think it goes hand in hand with self-discipline and that consistency you spoke of. So, if you guys have some more questions that you want to ask Laraya, put them in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, share, and until next time, peace.
Don't say you don't know one show.
I see you. She has that kind of love to put you in. I see you. She put that thing on me. Voodoo. She put that thing on me. Voodoo. She sauced my spaghetti, made me ready. As I fall like confetti, I'm a slave to the night. I thank God.